Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Raid and another beautiful morning, Friday morning here. And originally I was going to be talking just about the headline that came out that the Badgers were looking to ditch the running back by committee setup that they've been doing so far this year. And then when I woke up this morning for me, late night for you guys, the news came out that Chez Mellusi is stepping away from the program to heal his many injuries. So we're going to start with the Chez situation, and we'll build into the running backs. What does this mean when they say Chez is going to be stepping away to rehab? And they say, of course, the door is always open for him to come back. And we've heard this before. So what does it really mean? It means we've seen the last of Chez Mellusi in a Badgers uniform. He's stepping away now. I 100% guarantee he won't play again this season to preserve a potential medical hardship so he could apply for a 7th season if he wanted to. And it won't be at Wisconsin. It's time for the Badgers to move on. It's time for Chez Mellusi to move on. I think he has done everything he can for the program. And in that time, he's unfortunately had to deal with several season-ending injuries. And again, they're the type of injuries that you don't consider someone injury prone. Like, you're not prone to breaking an ankle. You're not prone to tearing an ACL. It happens. Bad injury luck. But those injuries take a toll. And, you can rehab all you want, and you can get back up into the best physical shape that you possibly can do, or you possibly can be in. And when you get into live fire, you lose your fastball. You use the edge they used to have, the killer instinct, whatever you want to call it. And if you've been watching the film all season, that's just what happened with Chez. He lost his fastball. He lost his decisiveness in the gaps. He lost his decisiveness in his cuts. Okay, when he gets up to full speed, and when he was in position to just put his nose down and run forward, he could do that. But his playing style where he wants to be and the playing style where his body type should put him in does not match the let's put our head down and bang into the pile kind of running style. So it is best for him to take the rest of the season to get 100% healed, physically and mentally. So then going into next season, whether he tries to go pro or he tries to get a medical hardship to get one more year, somewheres where he can showcase his skills without the pressure of being the 1A, 1B back at a big-time program, I think that's best for him. From a Wisconsin football standpoint, of course, it's the best thing because now it shakes off that 1A title and supplants it on someone else. So, which leads us to the talk of the change of the running back by committee type setup. And train going in the background. There we go. So Luke Fickell has stated that he thinks that the way the running back rotation has been so far this year, it is made it difficult for any of the backs to really get a sense of rhythm. And I do see that. And early in the year, when you're trying to establish the committee, you're trying to figure out the roles of the committee. And what they found is they started kind of going, 1A, 1B. And for a real solid running back by committee, you need to have either backs that fulfill different roles, and you use a different group of backs to fill each of the roles to give you the ball carrying ability of one solid feature back, all around feature back. Or you go the way the Badgers have been doing it, and basically divvying up the same reps, the same type of reps, to 2 and sometimes 3 different players. And that system hasn't worked. So what I think we are going to see going forward is we're not going to see Tui Walker come out and get 30 carries a game. I don't think his body can handle that. And again, that's not how the offense works. What I think we're going to see is Tui Walker being your lead first and second down back. I think we're going to see him in pass protection situations. And then we're going to see Katie Akamelli emerge as your change of pace back on first and second down, your number one pass catching option in third downs. And then you're going to see Darian Dupree become the scat back number 3 option. Put him in the slot sometimes, put him in the backfield, run some routes at him type of back. So you're still going to get a rotation. You're still going to get the benefits of how a running back by committee setup should be, but you're not going 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, or 1/3, 1/3, 1/6, 1/6, whatever you want to see. So I think that's a change that we're going to see going forward. So what does the change to the upcoming running back rotation mean for the scheme? How the running backs are used in the system? Well, I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a little bit more use of the 2 backs, and you're starting to see that Jackson Aker is going to become that fullback that he was turned into when he came to Wisconsin, that they tried to move him away from last year. And it's like, no, this is where he fits. Obviously, because if he doesn't do that, he is going to get lost in the shuffle and he ain't going to get any playing time at all. And using him in the 2-back role has been good as a lead blocker. And now they've been starting to incorporate more different power schemes along with that. We saw an example this weekend where they ran blocking scheme that's called crunch, and it's basically where you set up 2 traps. You're either pulling both guards, they're trapping, you pull, and the example the Badgers used is they pulled Renfro and then they pulled Malman, and what we have is you have down blocks going one way, you have the traps setting the wall the other way, and the ball goes up in the middle, and that's where Aker went through and he was leading for Tui Walker. I think that something like that would be really great, and that's going to set up, because I think Tui Walker is better at inside zone. He is better at reading on power scheme. So I think that's where the bulk of his carries, his package is going to be centered around. Katie Akamelli he has been by far, in my opinion, the best outside zone back we've had this season. And we're going to see him a lot in the pistol sets. And then we're also going to, I think we're going to see him. We saw 1 rep of it against USC, and I think we're going to see him in the slot a little bit, which is also the same role that I'm expecting to see Darian Dupree as a in the slot, second back type of guy going forward. So we're still going to use multiple backs, but we're going to tailor a group of plays around those different bats to maximize their talent. All right, so enough about the running backs. Let's kind of want to talk about a little bit of channel maintenance and then leading into some other topics from there. So as you've noticed so far this season, my output of content, both the written form and on the YouTube channel, has been down in comparison to this point last year. Couple reasons for that. Number one, I think when I started this thing last year and started to get some traction, started making my appearances on Locked On Badgers, got all excited, and I just wanted to pump out as much stuff as I could. And I was enthusiastic about it. The enthusiasm hasn't changed. One thing that has changed in comparison to last year is I'm still coaching football right now. With the way that our schedule has played out this season, the playoffs weren't until much later than they were last year. And now that we have gone deeper into the playoffs, we're playing for our league championship this weekend. I've been busy, and my off time from my day job, which is coaching, has been significantly reduced. So I don't want to sit here and try to cram stuff into the little free time that I have and put out a poor product, and then the poor product would reflect poorly on the channel and the brand as a whole. So that's why that stuff has been down. The more editorial content and the kind of bigger picture stuff outside of the game-to-game breakdowns, etc., has gone down. Now that my season is coming to an end here this weekend, and it's officially going to come to an end this weekend, and I'm going to have some time off before we get into our off-season program, I'm going to have time to start planning things and then looking to do more stuff in the near future for the channel. I'm not going to make any promises because obviously the off season can get crazy, but that will be the plan. Which leads to another thing I wanted to bring up, and that is, I'm sure some of you have noticed that over the last few weeks, a couple of my videos have been taken down because I have gotten copyright strikes on a few particular clips. I think I had two on the Western Michigan series of breakdowns, and then I just had one from the South Dakota game. And I find it curious that I'm getting copyright striked on videos that are not broadcast. And I think what's happening is I'm getting the same copyright strike that I would from the broadcast videos. And those ones in the past, or the same company, excuse me, those videos in the past, I would still be allowed to use the video. I just couldn't monetize it. Now I'm getting blocked in all regions. And my guess is, trying again, my guess is the company in question, their algorithm is seeing the Big Ten logo on the field in some of my clips. And since that company does the licensing for the Big Ten network, that is where the claims are coming from. So that's why it's a good thing that I am breaking down the games into quarter by quarter. So then if something gets taken down, I've got the rest of the game. What I'm going to be doing in the future, if I get something like that again, is I am going to be uploading that clip to my Substack and putting it behind the paywall. And the reason why I'm doing that is if it's not public, there's a less likely chance I'm going to get a strike. Now, up until now, both on YouTube and Substack, I have not once tried to push people to the membership sections of my pages, and I'm still not going to do that. But in the future, those might be your best avenues to still get 100% of the content that I'm trying to put out. All my videos that go up on YouTube are put up as early as I can, and this week I haven't been doing so good, but I try to get all the videos uploaded on the same day. When I do that, they will now be put up in the members section of the YouTube channel. So if you become a member of the YouTube channel, then you will see them as soon as I have them uploaded. If they get taken down, they'll get put up in the member section of the Substack. And both of them, I've set them as low as it was deemed necessary. Not expecting anybody to sign up, but if you do, those are some of the perks. You get to see the videos early, and you get to see any video that is taken down due to a copyright strike. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about, kind of dovetailing off of the lack of content right now, is I haven't been doing the good, the bad, and the ugly breakdown pieces written for Substack lately. One, because I haven't been watching the games live. I've not watched one game live this year from start to finish. And usually what those were kind of my instant reaction to the game. I've still tried to do a play of the game within that context, but it just hasn't felt the same this year. So what I thought I'd do for the rest of the time that I have you on this video is to kind of go through my good, the bad, and the ugly of the offense through the first 4 games of the season, and looking forward to those things going into the second and third 4 games of the season. That's a really dumb way to put it, but you get what I'm trying to say. All right, so here we go. The good. I think the offensive line play has improved significantly this year, both from a execution standpoint and a fundamental standpoint. I think we have been able to do more complicated schemes and improve the schemes that we already have been using with better technique. I think in particular, the holdovers from last year, who I gave a lot of guff to all year with the 2 tackles, Malman and Nelson, are playing up to the level that their physical limitations allow them to do. And that's where it's going to be so far this year. I think interior-wise, Renfro and Huber have been solid, and I think for a first-time starter, Joe Brunner is actually doing quite well. So next season, when we lose 4 of those starters, I feel more confident that we're going to be okay, because I think A.J. Blazek is teaching those kids the right things, and they're going to be in position to take over. And when we see next year's starting group, where Joe Brunner is going to be the most experienced player and is still relatively young, that sets us up good for the future. All right, the bad. I am disappointed with the inconsistency of our receiver group still. It's just coming down to that outside of Will Pauling and maybe Trechka Kahuna, our receiving core is just not that good. I think C.J. Williams is a bust. I think Vinny Anthony has his good qualities, but not enough to be a full-time starter. And then the other guys are injured or they are out because of eligibility issues. whatever. And to compound that is and I'm sure this is going to add to the frustration that some of you have been having, that Tretch Kahuna hasn't been playing much or as much as you would hope he would. And what I have been seeing is he still has a lot to learn about being a Division I slot receiver. Yes, we saw last year, and the snippets we saw in the bowl game was him at his best, being an athlete. Unfortunately, where Tretch has his issues right now is being a receiver. His route running has a lot to be desired. His ability to read leverage and to run his route accordingly, to influence defenders to open up his routes, he has issues with. He has run into so many defensive backs at the top of his routes that it just completely screws up the timing of the routes. Doesn't matter what system you're in, that's basic football 101 at the college level that he needs to get better at. And it happens a lot with guys who come in with that athlete mold. And at least let the big truck get out of the way, right? Guys who just come in and like, look at his athleticism. That's been an issue. And that needs to get better because he needs to step up so we, as an offense, can move forward with multiple playmakers and not just Will Pauling. Bryson has had some moments. He's becoming a reliable number 2 receiver, or number 1 outside receiver, number 2 target. But that has to get better. And that group still has to get better. We've seen signs in comparison to last year, but it's not good enough. We'll just put it that way. It's not good enough. And the bad is obviously the quarterback situation. For all the great things that Braden Locke brings to his game, you can't make up for the lack of athleticism and the lack of arm strength. He can make intelligent throws. He can make intelligent reads. But when it comes down to his lack of physical skills and the lack of his trust in the skills that he does have, he has a quick release. His arm is not below average. But when he doesn't trust it to trigger it fast, and he doesn't have the feet to extend plays if necessary, that is going to create an issue. And I know by me saying that, let's just throw Mabry Matoya in there right now. Do you want to ruin him before we have him? Do you want to ruin the prospect that he is? If he was ready to play, he would be playing now. But they are not in the let's just take all the upperclassmen out, let's just throw the young players in. You will ruin players by doing that. Okay? Because again, I don't care how good you think 6A football in Texas is. It's not Division I college football. And you could see it in camp where he'd make some great plays, but then he would just be making you could tell he's a freshman type of plays. So no, if you want Mabry Matoya to be the quarterback of the future, you have to let him grow into that role. And by throwing him to the fire just because you're angry at Braden Locke is not going to be the answer. Oh, it's quiet all of a sudden. That's kind of nice. So the quarterback situation is bad. Okay? Speaking of the quarterback situation, this will be the last thing we talk about. I know everybody's excited that Big Cat from Barstool is going to do an NIL thing to try to bring in a top-level quarterback. And you can see the divide of the people who are excited, the young people, and all the old fogies who think it's terrible. What I am going to say to that is be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And with the way that Top level players are being courted with money in the NIL era. And the way that programs have promised players things and not delivered, we have got to be careful if that's the direction we are going to go to bring in a top quarterback next season or in the future. I hope that the UW administration is learning from the UNLV situation and that whole he said, she said problem that they're having, where he thought he was promised money and the school didn't promise anything. Nobody had anything written down. It's a mess. So what makes me nervous is when you're using a internet celebrity as your top recruiter and he's the one promising money, where is the player who's going to be intrigued by that kind of setup? Where is his priorities going to lie? On the program in the university or on his own self-interest? And when you get a big level player coming in for big time NIL money and he does well, when you have other programs who can offer him twice that much the next year, who's to say you bring in a guy like that, he ain't going to move on the next season? Okay? Watch that with any of the big name quarterbacks. Do you expect them to be with their program for 3 years? I don't think so. So be careful what you wish for with the quarterbacks. You just might get it. All right. I think we're going to call it a day here for this video. I've talked a lot. I'm probably have to do some editing here. And hopefully, if anything, there's actually a viable sound quality on this that we could actually put something out. So later today, the fourth quarter of USC versus Wisconsin is going to come out. And we're going to look forward to Purdue. A Purdue team that's reeling by them firing their offensive coordinator. That makes them very dangerous because the current staff's going to be like, F it, let's just go with what we got. And with a defense that is still trying to figure out how to play defensive football correctly, that could be a problem. Offensively, this is going to be the go big or go home game. So we'll see about that. All right, so that being said, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.